Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Liz Reddy. Today's top stories. A number of healthcare projects in Waterford have been included in the HSE capital plan for the next 3 years. Boris Johnson's called a surprise meeting of his cabinet this afternoon. Fine Gael's Maurice Cummins says his name has been cleared after allegations of bullying were made against him earlier this summer. And in sport, Waterford FC are on the road tonight as they face Cork City in the Munster Derby. Waterford Minister John Halligan says the latest HSE capital plan copper fastens the funding for a number of healthcare projects in Waterford. They include the provision of a second cath lab at University Hospital Waterford, where a team's currently working on the design. A contract is expected to be awarded by the end of October for a new mortuary, with construction starting before the end of the year.
We do know, for instance, the second cath lab is a certainty, that the design team is there, money is there for that. Also, we know, which is a certainty, is a new mortuary. The contract is going to be awarded on that by the end of October, and we know a lot more then in another 3 or 4 weeks who got the contract and when the construction will commence. But what they have said is that whoever took the contract out would have to commence construction before the end of the year. So these are two big major projects that will definitely go ahead straight away. The others will definitely go ahead as well, but we'll have more details in a couple of weeks' time.
John Halligan says more detail is needed on the funding for the development of the new block at UHW, including the new palliative care unit. The announcement also includes 100 new beds for Waterford City and 95 for Dungarvan community nursing units.
All of us have just gotten this over the last day or two, and we now have to go back into meetings, further meetings. Within a week or two, we should have a detailed analysis as to when this money is going to be made available and when the projects start. They've come up trumps with the second cath lab, they've come up trumps with the mortuary, and I think there's no reason as to why a government would make a commitment that's of vital importance for our health in Waterford.
However, Waterford Sinn Féin Deputy David Culnan says the funding contained in the plan is a restatement of existing commitments. He says the publication will provide some certainty and welcomed the commitment to a new daycare cataract unit at UHW. David Culnan says all public representatives must focus on the funding issues for the various departments in Waterford.
There's a challenge for John Deasy, there's a challenge for Paddy Coffey, a challenge for Mary Butler, and yes, a challenge for me and John Halligan as well. We all have to step up to the plate, make as much noise as possible. They have more influence than I have in government. They have a responsibility to deliver this. And it's not just about one issue in healthcare in Waterford. There's a lot of problems in the hospital that all have to be addressed. And we won't do it unless we put the focus on all of those issues that we put on cardiac care and in the past cancer care in Waterford.
University Hospital Waterford had record numbers of people waiting on hospital beds last month. The number of patients awaiting beds in August was at its highest for a decade. Aoibhinn Fallon reports.
The Irish Nurses and Midwives Organisation have been recording numbers of patients waiting on hospital beds for over 10 years and say that the numbers recorded nationally last month were the highest ever for August. The daily national trolley figure was higher every day in August than on the same day last year, with an average daily increase of 28%. University Hospital Waterford was fifth highest in the country, with 561 patients waiting on beds last month, up from 435 last August. This is the highest number recorded for Waterford in August for a decade. Commenting on the numbers, INMO General Secretary Phil Nashega said it's the tragic ongoing reality in Ireland's health service to see 10,000 patients on trolleys, which is bad enough during the summer months, but these figures signal an even more dangerous winter. She went on to say that the core of the problem is staffing and said the HSE recruitment has got to go.
Jeremy Corbyn says Boris Johnson's plan to suspend Parliament is an attack on democracy which will be resisted. His comments come as the British Prime Minister threatened to expel anyone in his party who opposes a no-deal Brexit. Sean O'Regan reports.
Jeremy Corbyn has insisted his party is doing everything necessary to bring Britain back from the brink. The Labour leader accused the British government of having a set of rules for themselves and a separate set for everyone else.
The government is threatening to just ignore legislation it doesn't like. That is how the elite operates.
In a morning of accusations, former Prime Minister Tony Blair accused Boris Johnson of laying a trap. He has warned Jeremy Corbyn not to support a general election before Brexit.
He should see an election before Brexit is decided for the elephant trap that it is.
after Brexit is resolved, an immediate election is right and necessary.
Meanwhile, Boris Johnson himself has threatened to expel Tory MPs from the party if they side with the opposition and try to stop a no-deal Brexit. A senior source from the Whip's office, which ensures discipline, says rebels will destroy the government's negotiating position with the EU. And to wrap up a hectic morning on the Brexit front, a group tasked with finding alternatives to the backstop says there is no single deliverable solution at present. In documents that were leaked to the Guardian newspaper, concerns and issues have been reportedly found with every potential solution, such as technological alternatives and a trusted trader scheme.
A former Waterford senator says he abhors bullying in any forum. Fine Gael's Maurice Cummins says it was important for him to clear his name after allegations of bullying were made against him earlier this summer. He told Damien Tiernan on Dayshoot today that it stemmed from a local party meeting held in June.
We had a discussion on the local elections, and when I was speaking I was continually interrupted, and I turned around and I said, I want to speak, will you please don't interrupt me again and stop. And that was interpreted as being intimidation and bullying, which surprised me.
He says it's not his style to bully anyone.
It took up to last week for the party. They investigated the matter. It was found in the note from Tom Curran, the General Secretary, that my behaviour certainly wasn't intimidatory or indeed bullying under any circumstances. So I was glad that that was out of the way. It was very important to me because I've been 40 years in public life and I don't think I've ever, and I hope I haven't, intimidated or bullied anyone. You'll have the rows with opposition and within your own party and you'll shake hands afterwards and so on. Certainly I wouldn't be one that would be associated and would abhor bullying in any forum.
Minister of State for Local Government John Paul Whelan says he believes Waterford will have a directly elected mayor in the near future. The people of Waterford recently voted to reject the idea. Currently the mayor is elected by councillors themselves. However, legislation to introduce a directly elected mayor in Limerick City is underway. Minister Whelan says once that's in place he can see it being rolled out in Waterford.
I just think we're in a situation now where Limerick passed fairly comfortably and it is going to be the test ground, but that's not the end for Waterford. And there generally always in other countries has been one place where it's been tried first. If we can get the legislation done for Limerick and get the position up and running, then there's no reason why the other cities around the country and even other local authorities then after that wouldn't have a directly elected leader, and Waterford would be a part.
Two separate investigations are underway after a 7-year-old boy was knocked down and killed by a street cleaning vehicle in Dublin yesterday. It happened on St Joseph's Way in Ballymun at around 4:30. The boy was brought to hospital where he died yesterday evening. Both Gardaí and the Health and Safety Authority are investigating. These locals are saddened by the news.
Just very sorry to hear the like of that, and I'm sure the person ever who knocked him down would feel really bad as well. But really very sorry for the family. It's your worst nightmare, you know.
I know, it's very sad. I'm only just starting out his life, you know.
And you know, I hope I don't know the child, the family. Because I see, I work in childcare, so I work with children every day of the week, you know. Always hurts me when I hear of children.
WLR Sport.
Very good afternoon, I'm Gavin, Whelan. First rugby, and the Irish squad for this month's World Cup in Japan has been confirmed, with Devon Toner expected to be the highest profile absentee. Schmidt's 31-man squad was scheduled to be publicly announced next Sunday, but after details were leaked to the media, the IRFU have now confirmed the squad. Veteran lock Toner has missed out on selection, with Munster's John Klein included in his place. Jack Carty has beaten Ross Byrne to the third out-half position, while Luke McGrath is chosen even in favour of Connacht's Kieran Marmion. Ulster pair Jordy Murphy and Jack McGrath have also reportedly been left on standby. There's one change to the squad which had been reported, with Munster centre Chris Farrell chosen over Will Addison. Dublin football manager Jim Gavin says his players showed incredible heart to keep their drive for 5 alive. They have another chance to see an unprecedented 5th All-Ireland title in a row on Saturday, September 14th, after yesterday's dramatic 1-16 apiece draw with Kerry at Croke Park. The Dubs played the entire second half with 14 men after Johnny Cooper's red card. Dean Rock's injury time score injury time score earned a draw, and Gavin says his players never gave up.
The great character, they're kind of the reputation, what other people think of them, but I think that you saw what the character that they have, obviously that mental strength and that composure, and of course that courage. I mean, they kept going at it. They didn't set off the opposition. They kept pushing up and tried to, I thought, they really disciplined in their defensive duties and turned the ball over a few times. And again, we created some opportunities, and disappointingly we didn't get them.
Cork's minors, meanwhile, will be welcomed home to Leaside as Electric Ireland All-Ireland minor champions today after their 6-point win over Galway in yesterday's extra time thriller. No shortage of drama in Fairfield last night in the County Senior Hurling Championship quarter-finals. Michael Kiley flicked home a last-gasp goal as Dungarvan edged out their crosstown rivals Abbeyside 217 to 312 in a dramatic local derby. 4 green flags arrived in a frantic last 10 minutes. Abbeyside's Michael Kiley, who scored 2-4 from full forward, and Joe Allen traded green flags in the first minute of injury time. Then Mark Ferncombe whipped to the net to give Peter Quealy's men the initiative, 312 to 116. Dungarvan didn't lie down, however, as Ryan Donnelly struck his 7th on the night before Kiley got a touch to Gavin Crotty's high ball in the 3rd added minute. The match winner was over the moon with the result.
It's unreal, sure. We thought we were after losing it there near the end, and thank God I think it was Gavin hitting the ball, I was just lucky to be in the right position, and just unreal feeling to be in the semi-final now.
The Blues will do battle with Ballygunner in the last 4, while Mount Sion will meet De La Salle in the semis. The ties will be played on the weekend of September 29th. In the curtain raiser there yesterday, second half penalty saved by Eno Regan inspired Mount Sion to an emphatic 222 to 115 win against Lismore. Evan McGrath struck 12 points, while Martin F. O'Neill netted in each half for John Meany's Chargers. Going to go next to news of soccer, and Waterford FC are back in action in the SSE Electricity League Premier Division this evening. The Blues will head to Leaside to take on Cork City, hoping to build on Friday's point against Derry City. Neil Fenn is the recently appointed new manager at Cork City, and he said he's settling in well and looking forward to the challenge on Leaside.
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted that I got appointed. It was a club that I had great success at and enjoyed my time here, so it's fantastic to be appointed the manager. And there's a lot of work to do, after last Friday's game there's a lot of work to do, but it's a challenge that I'm really looking forward to.
Kick-off is at 7:45. W Law will bring you all the action live later this evening thanks to Clem, Jacob Hire, Ray Scott and Matt Keane, your commentary team from 7:35. Elsewhere tonight, Dundalk can regain a 7-point lead over Shamrock Rovers if they get the better of Sligo Rovers at the Showgrounds. That's also underway at 7:45. Sevilla have signed striker Javier Hernandez on a 3-year deal from West Ham United. The Mexico international handed in a transfer request on Friday and had flown to Spain for a medical. Fernando Llorente even has joined Italian Serie A side Napoli. The Spanish forward has been without a club since he left Spurs at the end of his contract in June. And there's racing at Roscommon this evening with action getting underway at 10:05. That's the latest on WLR.